episode number 3. This is going to be a bit of a emergence of episode 1 and 2. So if you haven't watched episode 1 and 2, make sure you go back, watch them. Where the first episode we break down kind of the current state of the health and fitness industry and what our take is on it. Second episode, we discuss the current state of boxing, mostly combat sport a little bit, but boxing in specific, and our take on that. And now we're gonna kind of tie the two together, where we're gonna speak about the health and fitness industry and how combat sport experience can help you in your journey of becoming the strongest version of yourself. Correct?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Definitely.
Cool. Let's take it from there then.
Where's a good place to start?
Well,
If someone was to say, why should I start boxing? Let's say 15-year-old lad.
Yeah, very, very, very good question, Lou. Number one thing that I try to explain to people when people bring their kids to me and they're like, right, I want to teach him how to box or how to look after himself, is what they say usually. And that's got a deep meaning, to be honest, which we can break down, but most people just want to have the ability to be able to look after themselves in a street fight, for example.
Yeah.
And that's actually important. We're losing that in society because, we've done a good job of making society super safe. I seen a fella this morning walking his dog with AirPods in.
Yeah.
And he's not got a stress in the world either. He doesn't have to worry about somebody coming from behind him to punch him or hit him or whatever else, you know. But the sad reality is that still exists.
Mm-hmm.
And also the sad reality is, no matter how modernized we become as a society, us humans, we all are animals at the end of the day. Just like we use in the first episode the example of every dog is a descendant from a wolf. Well, what do wolves do? They fight, they hunt, they kill. It's the same with every dog. You look at the little chihuahua, it's still got a killer's instinct slightly.
Yeah. It's just domesticated.
It's just domesticated. So we all have that within us as well. We all have a killer instinct. We all have an instinct to get enraged, to get angry,
And even to run away as well. Fight or flight.
Fight, flight, or there's a third option, which is freeze. People don't speak about that, but freeze is more something that you do when you haven't had the fight or flight experience enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You just end up freezing and then you do nothing.
Yeah.
And you're stuck.
Yeah, you start lagging.
Yeah, you start lagging. Yeah, you start
like
glitching. Yeah. So it's like, it's important for us to learn how to channel our animalistic natures in a disciplined, controlled way and environment as well. That's what the power of combat sports is to me. Otherwise, it comes out in more...
Well, yeah, it can be manifested in different ways, can't it?
It can. So this is the thing. If you look at... I'll use Osho, for example, of dynamic meditation. He got people to dance and sing and shake and scream and cry and do all these things, because these emotions sometimes get trapped within our body, because once we hit 3 or 4 years, you're a big boy or girl now. Stop fighting. Stop hitting someone. Yeah. Stop screaming. Shh. Be quiet. Do you know what I mean? Don't run around, etc., etc. So we end up holding all these things.
That energy gets built up and doesn't have an outlet.
It doesn't have an outlet. It doesn't have a constructive way of being manifested out into nature. So
it'll come out eventually.
It does.
Just, it can be negative or positive. Depends how you channel it. That's what I found with myself personally.
For sure. No, I'm the exact same. It does. It comes out in more perverted ways. You might start being passive aggressive to people. You might start being horrible to your parents or something like that. You might start having road rage, things like that, you know. Or you might just shut off completely and start being depressed because the opposite of
Expression.
opposite of depression is expression. So you've got to express these things. There's a really good book called The Body Keeps the Score, I believe it's called.
I haven't read it.
I haven't read it myself, but I understand the general gist of it because I've read enough books that are similar and listened to enough people that speak about the same sort of thing, where your body starts to hold emotions, it starts to hold rage, your skeletal system. You can start having scoliosis, you can start having muscle injuries, you can start getting headaches. You start getting angry back syndrome where you're like angry all the time. You start getting tight all up here. We experience this. I do a lot from massages as well. People are generally a lot tighter when they're a lot more stressed, whether that's, it can be physically stressed by working out, but it could be mentally stressed, emotionally stressed, spiritually stressed as well, so
that's like a good example. That's just like one of the few ways it can be manifested.
And there's many other ways that we're definitely skipping over at this point in time, and that can be discussed. That can be discussed deeper in different podcasts, obviously. But yeah, for sure. So that's why, to give a long roundabout answer, why everybody should experience some form of combat sport. Even if I'm the most loving and peaceful person in the world, that's fine, but we are all humans. We all have the capacity.
I would say it's ingrained in us, isn't it?
Yeah, we all have the capacity to get enraged, to get angry, to get whatever, So it's a good way of learning how to channel that and how to turn that switch on and off in your control instead of it controlling you, because that's what your emotions can do. They can start controlling you, whereas we want to be able to control our emotions and be the master of our mind and our body and not let it be the master of us. So yeah, I feel like every man, woman, child, especially men and boys, especially because we have that protector, provider,
those instincts
a lot more than a woman does. But even women, listen, I'm not saying that every woman needs to learn how to box. It's nice to learn how to throw a dig, for sure, because you might need to throw a dig once in your life and you don't want to break your hand the first time you throw one.
Like we were saying, it's better to have the tool and not need it than to need it and not have it.
It's better to be a warrior in the garden than to be a gardener at war, isn't it? But yeah, it's important to learn how to throw a dig. But not just that, if you're a woman, for me, having daughters in the future, I'm definitely going to get them into at least jiu-jitsu or wrestling. Learn how to control somebody's body, learn how to, if somebody lies on top of you, gets you down, how do you nullify them so that they can't throw punches at you, they can't sexually assault you, etc. You need to learn how to wrap these limbs up and potentially choke somebody out if needs be, So yeah, I feel like it's massively important, and it's very, very, it's almost like a different industry. You've got like the boxing side of things, and then you've got like the health and fitness side of things, where it's just aesthetics, it's just bodybuilding, it's just get your cardio up, or get your whatever.
Aesthetics over performance.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like we need to have a little bit of an emergence of these worlds, and that's what me and you do, because we're in both of these worlds. We're in the combat sport world, but we're in the health and fitness world too.
I go to work in a general sort of, what's the word?
General population gym.
Yeah, it's like a normal chain of gym, and then I go to work in the boxing gym. It's very different. For sure. Clientele and types of people who go to the different gyms. And I'd say as well, there's not any sort of chains of boxing gyms, is there? I think people are quite put off by,
for sure,
the small sort of rugged looking boxing gyms. You know the amount of gyms that we go to, and there's like a leak in the corner. It's all like old equipment, and it's all battered. It's got that sort of like old school feel to it. I feel like people would be put off by that. You know,
And
to go
they
into a gym like that if it's not clean and
and they are. And again, we spoke about this in the boxing episode about how boxing gyms don't do a very good job of actually teaching boxing like a martial art. So people go there and maybe in
that
week
is-
2 they start sparring, get their head punched in.
Yeah.
I've seen it a million times,
and they just don't come back.
and then they never come back and they think, oh my god, this is just not for me.
Yeah.
I never want to experience going home with a fucking mild concussion ever again. So sound, I'll just leave it. You know what I mean? So then, but then you're basically putting your head in the sand and ignoring the bigger issue is learning how to fight,
Yeah.
look after yourself, channel
But
these
I'll say it,
aggressive energies and all that.
but like you just said, that it's on the boxing gym as well to do a good job of that. But again, like we spoke about all that in the second podcast, so go and listen to that one. Let's get the full gist. But I'd say more so, this podcast is for the individual, the one person who decides to go to a boxing gym and why they should do boxing. You know,
Yeah, and
with
it's,
with the sort of, what's the word? With the condition that, in theory, the boxing gym does a good job of the coaching. Why should the individual go?
yeah, like you said, there's not many successful chain boxing gyms because they haven't systemized things correctly, and they haven't actually understood the art of teaching and coaching correctly. Because a lot of people in these boxing gyms, again, go back to episode number 2 to listen to it in a bit more detail, but they skip over steps, don't they, a lot of times, you know what I mean? So yeah, this is why it's important that people like me and you are in this industry, or in both industries, because we're trying to put systems to boxing so that it becomes a lot more teachable and accessible to anybody. But also what we're trying to do is take you gym goers who love your health, fitness and whatever else, and actually ask you why. Why do you want to look like you can kill a man and you can barely throw a punch? Is it compensating for something? Potentially. You know, I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody.
That's a self-reflection.
That's a
that we was-
self-reflection
we
that
were
you can
speaking
do
about
at
in the
home.
first episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. You've got to ask your why. Of course you do. You know, but your why doesn't have to be I want to be able to batter someone. That's not what I'm saying either. I'm not saying that your why has to be that you have to be able to look after yourself either. That is a better why for sure, but you've got to make that decision for yourself. If you get in with an experienced coach like me or Lou, that's one of the first things that we speak about is what your dream is, what your why is. Maybe you have kids and you want to be able to protect them. Maybe you want to feel more secure within yourself when you're going out on nights out and you see people having fights, things like this.
That's more what I've found with the younger lads. You know, who would coach or speak to them and they say, yeah, I just want to be able to protect myself.
For sure, which is noble, and it's definitely a good why to have. But let's go a little bit deeper. And for me, if we start looking into the, again, what I tend to do is I ask the why, get the answer, then I'll ask why again and why again and why again, so I can get deeper and deeper and deeper into the root of the why. And usually, right, I want to be able to protect myself. Fair enough, but why? Because I haven't learned how to protect myself yet. Okay, why? Because I've neglected that part of my being. Okay, why? Well, I've been told to shut up and sit down and not show any aggression as a kid. Okay, why? Because that's the way society is. Okay, why? So then you start getting a lot deeper, and then you start understanding. I've got to tap into these, let's say, closed off parts of myself, because I get to understand myself better. I get to understand me as a whole, and this is the ultimate goal of health, fitness, and all that for me is developing your physical as well as your mental capacities at the same time.
Your general gym doesn't do a good job, I don't think, with the mental side.
At all.
I think that's mainly because you go to a general gym and you're by yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, you put your headphones on and you know what I mean?
Do whatever you
At
want.
least in a boxing gym, nobody's walking around with their headphones on. Everyone's
You
talking.
never see that.
Everyone's doing partner drills, and it makes you a lot more social for sure. That's one of the good things
Yeah,
about
100%.
combat sport gyms. Massively, it gets you out of your head a little bit because it forces you to
Yeah.
interact with people, which we're not doing anymore in today's society because everybody's on their phone.
I would say,
things
yeah,
like
you walk around the boxing gym, you could speak to everyone, couldn't you?
Literally.
Whereas, like, even me, someone who works in a gym, I still walk past people, say hi to them, and they just ignore you. Look you dead in the eye and they look the other way. I mean, you wouldn't really find that in a boxing gym. It's a lot, like you said, it's a lot more social. It forces you to not be so closed off.
It's because you're exercising together. You're punching each other in the face, which sounds brutal, but actually it creates a deep bond between you and the other person. You know what I mean? It's massive. It's massive. It's so important because oftentimes what we're doing is, as a society, we're doing one or the other. You've got kids who are quote unquote nerds, dead brainy, dead intellectually advanced, but they're not physically advanced. And obviously that's a good thing to a certain extent, but then your body's going to start to fail you because if you don't use it, you lose it. So you might end up being Steve Jobs, who is an absolute genius and died at 60 odd with cancer because of whatever, because he's not looking after his body. He's not getting out in the sun. He's not grounding. He's not doing all the things that we spoke about in podcast number 1.
First one.
Yeah.
And then I was going to say a similar example would be Jeff Bezos. You've got richest man in the world, probably one of the smartest, and I mean his wife doesn't love him. Do you know what I mean? Has absolutely no game with women because he like you said, he's neglected that physical side of his life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It's
looked after his brain in terms of intelligence, but neglected the other side of it.
Yeah, but then let's go to the opposite extreme where you have a big bodybuilder who
Love Island contestants.
Yeah, we'll use that as an example.
Yeah.
They look amazing on the outside. They're very aesthetically pleasing, but they have the IQ of a fucking carrot. You know what I mean? Of a plant pot. So it's like, what are you doing this for? At the end of the day, what I have realised as of recent, like I said, I mentioned this before we started recording. There's a good Manly P. Hall talk that explains this very well about integrating or interconnecting the mind and the body, and something that he spoke about that I found very informative is back in the day, the Socrates and the Platos and all these guys, what they called the gymnasium was the school of life.
As in what?
As in, the gymnasium was a school.
Okay. Yeah.
The whole school was called the gymnasium because you'd wrestle, you'd run, you'd learn philosophy, you'd read poetry, you'd do art, you'd create music, you'd do mathematic problems, you'd do everything all together, all at once. It's not separated. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it's,
like they didn't think twice when sort of comparing music and lifting weights. It's like it's all the same.
It's all the same.
You're training.
You're training your mind and your body together. You're trying to do both. You're trying to develop both. When you do something like reactive mitts with me and you, it's very mental as well as physical. You're training both, and people love it. Have you noticed that? Yeah. People love it.
I've got 50-year-old women who are clients that come to me for it. I mean, it's like they do it better than some of the boxers. Sort of thing.
Exactly.
It's definitely that in particular is more mental than it is physical.
For sure. And then obviously you've got that side of combat sports, but then you've got the side of combat sports where you walk into the gym and coach says, "Oh, we've got another gym coming down to spar today."
Yeah.
and then you start
Yeah, that-
having to manage your
Yeah.
mental, emotional, spiritual relationship with yourself, your nerves, your nervous system. You know,
Gets attacked in those 5 seconds. Those 5 seconds when he says, "Yeah, we've got some lads coming in tonight." You're like, oh shit!
Oh shit! Here we go.
Because you come in and you're thinking, "Fucking, I'm sore." After last night's session, or maybe
Yeah.
the night before,
Yeah.
you're thinking, "Oh, it might not be too hard tonight." You know, especially if it's like you're getting ready to fight and your body's sore, you're fucked. You say, "Oh, you've got another gym coming in." That really tests your
Mental
side,
fortitude.
because
It does.
already you might be physically drained, and then you've got the high expectations to meet at this gym coming in, and it's gonna be a hard session.
And when another gym,
It tests your character a lot.
It does. And when another gym comes in, it's basically like a fight.
Yeah, it's
You know what I'm saying?
not sparring, it's fighting.
It's-
Especially for
yeah.
boxing, like
Yeah.
Muay Thai and stuff like that's different.
It's a bit different, yeah.
But boxing, it's
Basically, if
you
you can
have a
knock them
fight.
out in front of your whole gym and their gym, then you do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Definitely it's just a scrap, isn't it? It's just that you do more rounds and you've got head guard on,
Yeah.
slightly heavier gloves, but it's just a fight, isn't it?
100%. So all these things are reasons for you to start to delve into the combat sports world. If you're looking to be the healthiest, happiest, best version of yourself as an overall individual. Because like I said, look back on these Platos and these Socrates and these characters who did a lot of important intellectual work. They did not neglect their bodies. You know what I mean? They did a lot of physical activity. Mind you, they had a more physical lifestyle back then anyway as well.
I mean, you look at the statues,
Back in the day
Yeah,
ones, yeah.
like Michelangelo's David, for example.
Yeah.
So you don't see many people looking like that
Like
nowadays.
Yeah, facts.
And these like some of the most intuitive characters throughout history, aren't they?
And this is the thing. Once the body starts working better, your mind starts working better. Once your mind starts working better, your body starts working better. They are, like Manly Pete Hall says in his talk. I'll maybe put a link to it or whatever if people want to delve a bit deeper into this topic. Is they are meant to be the perfect relationship. And we basically split them up and have mind, body.
Yeah.
Instead of mind, body, it's together. It's another. I'll send you a link. I'll send you an Instagram link to this woman's Instagram page, and she basically was speaking about how, I think it was ISO Speed. He was racing this guy, something Labelle or something like that. His name is.
Was he was the one where they're on grass?
I think so. Yeah. I'm not
And
sure.
he beats him. Yeah, 3 or 4 times.
He beats him, but this is the thing, yeah. This is what the woman's take on it was. ISO Speed, he embodies his spirit. He embodies his mind. And that translates to him being fast as fuck. He's not rigid in his... He's not...
Yeah.
He'll bark, he'll scream, he'll jump. He just does what the fuck he wants to do.
I've seen him jumping as well.
He can jump he can jump crazy.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Like
but,
he's obviously like very athletically gifted, but even
course,
still,
but he's even more athletically gifted because he streams and he does all these other things and everything else. So that's opening his spiritual...
expresses himself.
Exactly. He fully expresses himself. So again, opposite of expression and depression. If you are slightly depressed within your mind, it starts manifesting into your body, and that can restrict your performance when you're sprinting or whatever.
It needs to be expressed.
It needs to be
I
expressed.
mean, even on that same thought, did you see the fella's reaction to when he got beat?
He was just like, and I saw people like, yeah, what?
Yeah, but he,
You know what I mean?
he start making excuses as to why he lost and saying, "Nah, race me again," sort of thing. I was thinking that's a man who's never had a beating.
He's never been cracked up a few times, man. He's never got in the car after sparring a fall.
Cried on the way home. Yeah, it's so important. Like we were saying,
massive.
saying before, especially as young men, if you haven't took a beating, then
It stops you.
there's gaps in your character.
Yeah, for sure. It stops you becoming a bully as well. if you've been cracked a few times and you know, oh, there's this nerdy skinny kid who's about 10 kilos lighter than me in the boxing gym who could take me for a fucking ride if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, man. I mean, I best think twice before I start going around
Puffing my chest out on a night out.
and throwing my weight around. Do you know what I mean? Because listen, you can't judge books by covers, you know, and you can't judge people by their perceived characters half of the time, because it can be the quiet kid with the glasses on and whatever else. You could shut your lights out very quickly. You know,
a lot of people, especially what I've found, going to a more commercial gym, is a lot of people look the part, but they don't act the part. They don't have the character to back up the aesthetics.
For sure. And if you go to a boxing gym or combat sport gym, let's say in general, most of the time, people are very friendly. They're very nice.
Yeah.
They're very respectful. They don't have massive egos, especially if they've been there for many years.
Yeah.
The newer people, maybe so, you know, but yeah, they don't have it as much, you know.
That's what I found when I started. The ones who have the biggest egos were the ones that were newer.
For sure, 100%.
The
Because
ones
they
that
haven't
have
had
been
their
there
ass
for
whooped enough times.
100%.
That's literally all it is. But yeah, it's massive. It's massively important that we start making combat sports more commercialized, more generalized, for people to start being able to dip their toe in and out of it if they wanted to. And that's why we're here in this industry, or in these industries, to merge them together.
I'd say there needs to be more of that, but also at the same time, I think it's still important to stress the point of, especially if you say 15-year-old lad, say you're listening right now, it's still important for them to take initiative by themselves, you know, to realise that I still need to put myself in that position. You know, it's not always going to come straight to you, although we're trying to make it more, like you said, commercialised.
Accessible.
You still need to bring it upon yourself to make that choice.
For sure, 100%. Do the hard things while you're young, because it gets harder and harder as you get older. Sometimes it can anyway, you know. So, because you start neglecting, well, your body, it's like a house. It starts to deteriorate as you get older. So it's important that you do and learn all these character building activities at a decent age, so that you can actually go through life being a decent person and having a decent experience. So yeah, it's short and sweet. I think we should leave it pretty much at that. We should. I mean, have we got much more to speak about?
I think we did a good job.
I think we did do a good job explaining it, really.
Just before we finish,
yeah,
we spoke about probably more the mental side of it. What about the spiritual side?
The spiritual side.
What would this? Yeah, like, you'll clarify things mentally. You'll rethink how you carry yourself, sort of thing. But what about spiritually?
Okay.
I mean, physically you don't.
So
there's obvious sort of benefits, isn't there?
I'll give you a few good examples. Example number one: you're going about your day. You've just started speaking to some bird. Life's going well, you know. School's going all right. Whatever else, you're speaking to a bird. You walk into the boxing gym. Your name's written on the board. In 2 weeks, you're fighting somebody who's been training his ass off to fight too. So what ends up happening at that point?
It's a mad feeling, isn't it?
It's a crazy experience. If you've never experienced this, you know, I'm trying to explain it as best I can now. You start questioning your whole life.
Yeah.
Mentally, emotionally, but most importantly, spiritually as well. Because what happens is, I like the saying that Teddy Atlas has: the ring, or the cage, or whatever you're fighting in, is the chamber of truth. Meaning, when you go in there on that night, what is expressed is what state you are in, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually as well.
It's the marriage of all of them.
It's the marriage of everything.
Just in a short little burst, isn't it?
If you're fighting At our
amateur,
level,
yeah.
it's 3 3-minute rounds or 3 2-minute rounds. That's like 10 minutes of performance. That's all you have.
Yeah.
But in that 10 minutes,
Everything's on display.
everything is on display. Not just you physically, not just you mentally, not just you emotionally, but spiritually. You start, and Mike Tyson spoke about this. He'd be in the back of his fight saying, what am I doing here?
There's video of him crying, isn't there? I think
I remember him saying in an interview, I felt like he's like one of my first fights, and we were close to the subway. I felt like just
getting on the train,
and running away,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But then it's not a mental, it's not an emotional, it's not a physical thing. It's a spiritual, right, relationship with yourself. Where am I at spiritually within my own soul's journey, soul's development? Do I understand that this is important for my spiritual development, or not? You know, so you start having conversations with God, whatever your God may be.
Mm-hmm.
You start to contemplate these sort of things when you're in
that situation.
In that situation, you know. So
because like I remember.
Otherwise, you can, sorry to interrupt. Otherwise, to put it short, you may never think about these things going through your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when disaster hits,
your feet,
or you're about to fight someone,
your feet are put to the fire.
Your feet are put to the fire. That's when you start questioning your spirituality, and you start thinking, actually, what is my spiritual fitness like? You know what I mean? Am I healthy spiritually or not? But go on.
I remember before my last fight, I remember just about before I was to get in, I remember thinking like, it's just God's will at this point. Like I've done everything I can do. It's like,
and that's a great way of putting it into God's hands sometimes. And when you start to get a little bit deeper, again, I don't want to push any ideologies onto anybody, but these are just my experiences. When you start to realize that we are all God and we're all having this experience, then it's like, I'm going to leave it to my higher self, because that is the higher version of, that is the version of me that's closer to God.
I found a lot more peace in that idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
As you will, you know what I mean? So that's the spiritual side of things of combat sports, and you start to think about these things. At least as soon as you put your conscious awareness into something, then you can start to develop in that area in life, isn't it? So otherwise, if you never think about these things, then it never happens. And we don't want you to be thinking about these things when somebody dies, close family member dies.
It's almost like,
and then it all hits you.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about God and the universe. You never had any reps.
It's just like the more, it's like a slightly more controlled experience of that, isn't it?
For sure. Exactly. It's a slightly, because realistically, and people do every year, you can die in that ring. You can get concussed so bad that you become a vegetable. You can get a bleed in the brain. You can. I've been knocked out in the ring. Do you know what I mean? Life on the line. Every time you get in there, your life is on the line. So you start to really have to start thinking about these sort of things. Otherwise,
forces you to go down them rabbit holes.
It does. And also, as you get closer and closer to a fight, the more internal you start to go, the more lonely it starts to become. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Where like you think, fuck, I know my coaches have got my back, but they can't do nothing for me in that ring. It's me. It's my spirit. It's my emotions. It's my mental. It's my physical. That's all on the line. So it's like, oh shit, okay, I need to start thinking about these things and start developing these things. Otherwise, they're going to get exposed. So what a wonderful...
I was going to say, you've got me reminiscing.
Oh man, trust me, I feel you. It's a crazy sport, man.
Yeah. But like you were speaking about, you become more isolated, or not isolated, but you think more internal.
Yeah.
I was just saying,
your internal dialogue starts to increase massively. I remember being in school. I never told anybody I was fighting. when I was in school. I remember just walking around the playground. Are you playing footy? No.
Yeah.
I was just sat there on like a bench or whatever, headphones in, and I'd just be staring at everybody in the playground, just thinking, none of you have a clue of what's going on internally inside me right now. Because it's Friday now. Tomorrow, my life's on the line. I might not come back to school ever again. I might be dead tomorrow.
But
You start thinking all these mad things, you know. Yeah, it's crazy. It puts you in such a thought provoking. It's like a thought provoking experiment that you can experience for yourself by putting yourself into the combat sport world. You know.
Yeah, like we were saying, it's important to take a beating, especially as a young man. But even still, you were saying at the start, society's become a lot softer and safer.
Yeah.
Until a few hundred years ago, if you were a young man, you were going off to war. It was only the past few hundred years not all men have experienced some sort of war.
For sure.
This is your slightly watered down version of it for you as an individual.
You're living in times of luxury, and listen, who's to say in the next 10 years
anything could happen.
Anything can happen. We can be going straight back to war or whatever, you know. So, and not just that, even if we don't, listen, I've been broken into before. It becomes a war zone. You become the commander chief,
it's good. Yeah,
king of the castle.
Yeah,
and you've got to protect your castle. You know,
if you think that you're gonna go through your life, and I'm speaking for obviously more as a man from my perspective, if you think you're gonna go your whole life without encountering some sort of conflict or confrontation, you're delusional.
You are very.
With that in mind, pretty much think to yourself, it's a guarantee that I'm gonna have to fight at some point. You know, do you want, like you said, do you want to be the warrior in the garden or gardener in a war? You're gonna have to use those skills at some point. So it's better to have them for when the time comes than not have them.
It's better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have them. You know. It's massively important. It's massively neglected, and not just that. It's something that, as culture, we have lost. If you look at a lot of these old school indigenous cultures, these tribes in Africa, they have rites of passage for young men. Okay, young man, you're 12 now, you're 13 now, you're starting to show some aggression, you're starting to puff your chest out. Yeah, alright then, cool. What the men sometimes do is they break into the house of the young man. They kidnap him. They put suits on, scary masks and everything. They kidnap him, rip him away from his mother, take him into nature, and do whatever. There's loads of different types of rites of passages.
It's always something hard, though, isn't it?
It's always something that
physically,
pushes
mentally
you,
demanding.
That pushes you to the extremities of your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, and your spiritual health as well. A lot of times, a lot of Native Americans as well, they would, for example, the chief of the tribe, he would literally take wooden hooks, almost metal hooks, hook himself onto a tree and experience the most amount of pain, suffering, and up until to where he has a psychedelic experience, basically, and a vision into what's going to happen in this next war or this whatever, or you know what I mean. It gets really deep when you start to look into all these sort of things, and we've come so
away from that.
Pain free. Let's get rid of pain, because pain is the most. Paul Chek calls it the pain teacher, and I totally agree with that. Pain is one of the most important things for us to experience, because it kind of shifts our perspective on our kind of makes us make better decisions with our free will, basically. You know, so if you're making the wrong decision with your free will, the pain teacher comes to visit you and lets you know, listen, you're messing up in some sort of way till you learn the lesson that you need to learn. I'm staying.
Yeah.
You're also going to stay in pain, you know. So it's massively important for us to experience a bit of pain in our life, because life is made of love and light and happiness and joy and all that stuff, but also darkness, sorrow, pain, anguish. They're two sides of the same coin. The coin is life. You can't separate them. You're gonna have.
It's like I was saying, it's inevitable.
It's
These
inevitable.
things will happen.
It's inevitable. It's all about. The only thing that we can do is
Prepare for the.
yeah, and I'll use the word responsible or responsibility. It's got a negative connotation, that word, because it's like, oh, grow up, be responsible, blah blah blah. If you break down what the word really means, what it means to me, is response able. It's the ability to respond. So if you've had reps of pain, anguish, suffering, then your ability to respond to that is a lot sharper, is a lot more mature than if you haven't.
More responsible.
You're
there you
more
go.
responsible. So to put it short, to give you a one sentence answer to why you should get into combat sports, is it makes you more responsible. And now if you look back on the whole podcast, you'll understand what I mean by that. I think we should leave it there.
I think that was good.
More
Good
free game in the next episode, team.
I was absolutely
Tune
free.
in.
Again, let us know if there's anything in particular you want us to speak about.
For sure.
Yeah. That'll do us.